back to the Treehouse Urban Farm. Today I want to show you how we're planting peppers and we're doing some weed control with cardboard. So I'm also using some of this landscape fabric, and I've pre-cut holes in it so we can plant the peppers in these little holes right here, because this bed is very weedy and I already weeded it pretty well, but I want to make sure that none of the roots are going to come back, and we can prevent a lot of work by working smarter with some landscape fabric or cardboard. So as you can see, we have some cilantro here, we have onions over here. So I just cut this strip of landscape fabric to fit perfectly in between the other rows. I'll lay it down here. And now you can see there's the row of cilantro here and the row of onions on this side. I'll take a pepper plant and I'll just plug it into this hole here. So I've made these X's in the landscape fabric. I can plug these peppers in, squeeze the bottom so the roots come out. And now no weeds will come up around the pepper. Get the hole nice and deep to avoid compaction. And then we'll put some pine straw around them. This will be a second layer of protection against weeds. And there you go. Now the peppers are tucked in and the weeds won't take any of our nutrients and won't shade out the peppers as they grow taller. And I will add a little bit of organic fertilizer. Usually I will use tomato tone, but garden tone will work just fine. And the little bit of extra nitrogen in the garden tone will help with the initial vegetative growth of the peppers. So I'll just sprinkle a little around the peppers for a slow release fertilizer. I'm just working that fertilizer into the hole in the landscape fabric. The landscape fabric it's not impervious to water. It will let the fertilizer through, but I just want a lot of that fertilizer to go ahead and make contact with the soil. And we're making sure that the plants aren't too covered with the fertilizer. We're also making sure the plants can peek through the pine straw. So here's what it'll look like in the end. We won't have many problems with weeds. And that's how we work a little smarter and not harder. On this next bed, we've already buried cardboard underneath this compost. So I will be able to just plug the peppers right into the soil and just, make a little hole in the cardboard at the bottom so that the roots can go through, but the cardboard's already pretty much rotten and the weeds have been thoroughly suppressed. So I really like this cardboard method. You can see there's barely any weeds coming up. This has been like this for about a month to prepare for the spring. And this is what it looked like before. So it's working quite well. And I have a few more beds over there. And we're letting the arugula flower and the broccoli flower for the pollinators. And the orange tree is flowering too. So next we'll do the cardboard. So I just wanted to show you guys how I like to plant the peppers. You can plant the peppers a ½ inch up the stem. So like tomatoes, you can bury the stem a little bit, but you don't want to bury the stem very much because they are more prone to pests in the soil, biting the stem and rot. But they will put out extra roots and it will give the plant more stability. Just want to dig our hole. The cardboard's down here and it already killed all the weeds. So we plant it in here. I like to add a little bit of organic fertilizer. Add a little bit of organic fertilizer to that hole, and then cover it up and make sure that the roots are nice and firmly in the ground. You can see the worms are everywhere in this soil. So we'll just do that again so you guys can see. We'll dig our hole. You can even put the fertilizer in first. Add the pepper, just a little buried, the stem's a little buried there. And then just compact the soil a little bit around the pepper so it won't fall over. And then we can add a little fertilizer on top. And that's how it's done. We'll do companion plants on either side. I'm gonna do basil on either side in rows to help support the peppers from falling over side to side. I'm not gonna mulch this cardboard bed because I'm going to sow a living mulch. I'm sowing basil on either side. So we'll need to keep this soil exposed for good basil germination. But I've done basil and peppers a couple years now together, and they're a great companion plant. The basil will scare away some of the pests with its aromatic compounds that make it smell like basil. And the basil has a similar growth pattern to the peppers, which will support the peppers from falling over because pepper stems are very brittle. So there's another little quick tip.